Hello buddies, it's Coolicious here, back with another video covering Infinite Magic Raid. Today I woke up to a pleasant surprise. I saw that Little Jack was in the banner and I realized that he was a part of this event's ice skating. So right now we can obtain him, uh, not for free, but if we do spend $100 in the store and spend our 6,400 gems, we can get a guaranteed copy of Little Jack, and then we can summon multiple copies of Little Jack from this week's banner, which is pretty good. Note that you need 10 legendary PDs though, if you want to guarantee yourself a guaranteed copy of Little Jack. So if you don't have a lot of summons, I would strongly advise you to think about whether pulling now or saving your summons for another limited hero. So a new week begins. Let's enjoy the following events. A brand new week begins, and we're having a new limited hero, which means that it's happy times. The debuff hero rate up will be available from September 22nd to September 25th. Legend, Little Jack, that's a really good hero. Elena, really good for factions, not that much for PvP anymore. She was often used in PvP with Brynhild, but now, nah, not so much. Factions, amazing though. Ikina, no. You can use Lucifer instead, which is a mythic, so why invest 3 legendary Phantom Dragon Eyes into Kina when you can use Lucifer instead? Halland 1000, hmm, yeah, fantastic hero. A lot of guys will benefit from him. Guilliman, decent. You can use her to remove buffs in Blue Mark, Tower, and you can also use Guilliman to do some damage in PvP. Epics, Seal. Seal can do the same as Guilliman, remove buffs. I think it's Red Mark if I'm not wrong, so he will be very useful there. Sadora, not very used. Dustin, pretty good for factions. He is amazing in Nameless Brotherhood. Hardy, not used at all, so yeah, that's the entire banner. Just let us take a closer look into the heroes more in detail. So the first hero we got here was Little Jack, and one thing to note about Little Jack is that he's absolutely useless at exclusive level 0. If you don't pick up the guaranteed copy of Little Jack in ice skating and don't have any copies of Little Jack at all from before, I would probably evaluate whether I would pull on this banner or not, because best case scenario, you can get an E0 Little Jack, which is not that useful. We can, for example, compare Little Jack at E0 here with a hero like Makin at E5, which is an epic, and I would rather have Makin as my damage dealer at E5 than Little Jack, because Makin provides more than Little Jack E0. So having a Little Jack E0 in your roster is kind of unfortunate because you don't find a lot of use from him. But you do have a copy, which makes it much easier to increase his exclusive much later. So it's not only negatives about having a Little Jack E0. So let's move on to the exclusives here. This is where Little Jack goes from useless at E0 to great for accounts at E1, and at E2 he becomes an excellent unit for your squad in almost any cases. And at E3 he becomes supreme, especially if you do pair him with O'Grady's, which is another burn hero that you can get late game from playing a lot of Elemental City. So his E1 is stacking up some layers of Panic Stricken. That's a debuff you can stack on the target. And this debuff stacks up to 8 layers. So we do have a debuff stacking 8 layers. Each layer of our debuff reduces donor attack by 5%. 5%, 8 layers, 5 times 8 is 40. So this is an attack down by 40%. And this is massive because this is an AoE attack down that applies to all the guys in a wave. So if you do use his skills, this attack down will build up over time and the enemies will deal much less damage to your team than before, which is an amazing survivability tool. And this is also fantastic to have for Guild Boss to survive Guild Boss 6. Let's move into Exclusive 2, which is where Little Jack gets excellent. Here, you increases your own mastery by 40% of Little Jack's initial mastery, and you can get maximum 100% mastery to all your allies. So 40% of 100 is naturally 40%, so if you do have 200% mastery on your Little Jack, which is quite affordable, you will have 80% mastery extra on your heroes in your team. Like 80% mastery on your Needroll just for free. That will give Needroll a ton of damage and help you do higher dungeons. So E2 really makes Little Jack an excellent hero. E3, this is a lot of text, but what you really need to know from this text is that this increases the damage of Little Jack by a massive amount. He is now turning to a debuffer, buffer, and an excellent damage dealer, all in one hero. He's the best pairing you can have with O'Grady's, and he's just fantastic at E3. I've been using him at E3 for such a long time, and I can pull out crazy numbers using Little Jack here. Um, I wasn't trying to go there, but if I try to go here, here you can see 13 turns I'm able to beat the guild boss without O'Grady's. If I do get an O'Grady's, I can probably pull out this team here and beat the guild boss in 9 turns. These numbers here really speaks of how great of a hero Little Jack is. Little Jack is fantastic for guild boss, fantastic for dungeons, and all PvE content in this game. If you do have the budget, or if you do have the luck, or if you do have a lot of summons saved up, I would strongly advise a lot of you to get Little Jack because he's just amazing. With him out of the way, let's just go into the next hero, which is Elena. Like I said in the introduction, she's amazing for faction. E1 is fantastic to reduce the enemy speed by 40%. And then you have a heal here. E3 is also super good to get the additional shield by 30%. That's where you should use her. Holy Light is one of the easiest factions because you have heroes like Nordak in that faction, which is the best hero to have in factions amongst all heroes in the game. So getting a copy of Lena is very valuable. Then we do have Ikina, and I'm not very excited about her because she has a passive called Vortex Debris, and she takes so many turns to even stack up this passive, and if she does not have this passive fully stacked up, she doesn't deal a single point of damage, which means that she's not useful in hidden waves because she needs a lot of turns to even deal a bit more damage. Makin is a better damage dealer than Ikina for this faction, but Ikina is useful in Wuthering Coast. But you can also use Lucifer instead of Ikina here, and you will be just fine. So let's go to the next hero, Hanlan 1000. Hanlan 1000 is fantastic and mandatory for Wizard's Eye faction, so if you have no copies of Hanlan 1000, you should be happy about getting one copy of him. He can also be good in several dungeon teams if you don't have the BIS heroes at the moment. He is one of the best heroes in the game right now, so getting a copy of him would be excellent. Then we do have Guilliman. Guilliman is also in Wizard's Eye, and I don't have a copy of Guilliman yet. But she needs E3 to be useful in PvP, and she's only useful in PvP when she gets her E3. The main thing about the E3 is that whenever you cast Intellectual Prison, you will get one additional turn to cast your Bursting Knowledge, which is her main nuke, which prioritizes the main target, and after that it spreads out, so it's a smart single target nuke. But she needs a ton of stats to be useful, and you need to invest 3 eyes into her, so I would probably recommend you to stay away from Guilliman in most cases. With that out of the way, let's just summarize it very fast. Littlejack is an excellent SSS tier hero. Elena is S tier for factions, so she's also a valuable pool for most accounts. Ikina, not really. That's a hero you really don't want from the banner in most cases, unless you plan on building Ikina for Wuthering Coast. Then you might need her. Hanlan 1000, excellent, super mandatory for Wizard's Eye faction, and he's super good at E3. Any copy of him is excellent. Guilliman, not that useful. You can remove buffs in Blue Mark, but you can also use Norma to remove these buffs, which is an epic that you can just get for free, so it's not very valuable. The only reason you would like to build Guilliman E3 would be to nuke people in PvP. So there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video a ton and enjoyed the explanations I made about each hero in the banner. Thanks to each one of you for watching, making this channel possible. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe for more Infinite Magic Raid content. Peace.